Okay, this video is to show you how to install a RAID array on the new AMD Ryzen chips because their software is defective, at least as of the recording of this in August 2018. You can see I'm here on the AMD website, and there's chipset drivers and there's the RAID installer for serial ATA and NVMe M.2, but that one won't work, obviously, if you're going to run your RAID on serial ATA and not on NVMe. So they have this other one down here at the bottom which says serial ATA RAID only, and for some reason that one seems to be no different from the other one, which is not what I want, because I'm trying to set up RAID on traditional hard drives but have my Windows on the NVMe M.2, which is probably what a lot of people want to do. But for some reason this won't work, and I'll show you that in a little while. But first of all, what I've done is I've downloaded this, and now I'm going to reset and show you how to set it up in the BIOS. Okay, so the computer boots up, and then I do F2 or delete to enter into the BIOS. You can see I'm running the X470 Taichi Ultimate motherboard ASRock with the new Ryzen 7 2nd generation 2700X and 216 chips of RAM. And the key thing here that I've noticed is that in the OC tweaker menu, if you change between AMD, CBS, and ASRock setting, I don't know what the difference is, but you cannot set up RAID unless you're on the ASRock setting. So we'll go to that, and you can see I haven't overclocked and everything's running at the normal clock speeds. Then when you go over to the advanced menu and go into storage configuration, you switch from the AHCI mode to RAID mode for enabling RAID, which I already have done, but you probably by default will already be on AHCI. And I have 4 2TB drives connected to the different ports. And so normally what you would do now is reboot, create your RAID array in the BIOS, and on my old Intel motherboard it was Control-I to get to that, but on this one's Control-R. But that menu doesn't appear if you don't switch to the ASRock setting under OC Tweaker. I don't know why that is, but if you do that now, and now I reboot, F10 save configuration, you should get a prompt to Control-R in and create your array. So there it is, Control-R, and that brings you to this BIOS menu where you can create your RAID. So you can see I have the 4 2TB. This is easy enough. You can delete them all, you can initialize them. It's pretty straightforward, just like any normal RAID array, and then you're ready to go. The problem here is trying to access or do anything in Windows. And so now I'll show you, once this is all set up, you've created your array, and you think you're ready to go, install the AMD RAIDXpert 2 suite, but that doesn't work. So I'll just reboot and show you. Okay, so now we're back in Windows, and there is the 461 megabyte file that I downloaded, the RAID chipset drivers, which does not include compatibility for running RAID on NVMe, because as you already know, I've installed Windows on my NVMe, and so the 4 other magnetic drives are the ones that I want to initialize as a RAID. But here's what happens when you open this. First, it'll tell you it's going to extract to C/AMD. And then it will run the setup. Okay, now as soon as it's done extracting the files, it boots into here. You say accept and install, and what it does is it connects to the internet to look for other drivers. I don't know why that is, since I already have the driver here, and you get this error message. So this is the big problem here. It says Windows currently installed to an NVMe disk. Upgrading to the RAID driver will make this OS unbootable. Please load Windows on a non-NVMe disk, which is exactly what I don't want to do because Windows is already on my NVMe. And so that it says RAID installation will now abort. And no matter which file you download, no matter what, you always get this error message, even though, so it's almost like they have the wrong file on the website for the drivers. But the workaround that we figured out here is that you go to your C drive where the files were extracted. You go in C/AMD/AMD RAID chipset drivers, packages, apps, and then you find 4 things here that say RAIDXpert and RAIDXpert2. I don't know which, I assume it's not the NVMe one that you want to do, but these other ones, I don't know what they are, but I was looking at the date modified, so these are 2015 files. These are 2013, 12, and 2009. And so the newest looking files are in RAIDXpert BR/W7, and those are all from about last year. And so you just run the setup.exe directly from here, and that will get you into the RAIDXpert2 setup. So you're essentially overriding the error message that you get from the booting the other exe. So now you can do this, and then there's another problem that comes up when you try to actually log in, which I'll show you in a second. So go ahead and install this. Okay, the installer's just finished, so you can open the RAIDXpert2 software from the tray or from the shortcut. I'll open it from the tray. That brings up a web browser. And you get this prompt. So the default password is admin, password admin. I'll just do that without caps. And then you can see right there the submit button is blocked out. It's grayed out. So what's the problem here? Why is this not working? And so now open up Device Manager. And what you'll see is that under other devices, the RAID controllers have no apparent driver associated with them. So if you right click on that and say update driver, you can browse to the C/AMD folder here, and then just hit OK. It'll search through that. It'll pick up something. That closes out. You go back in, do the same thing for the other one. Browse, CAMD. It finds it again. Then there's 2 new things that pop up called unknown devices. You continue doing the same thing with those. And then finally, there's AMD RAID configuration SCSI processor device that pops up. And we'll try and do that one as well. Okay, so now there's only the Ethernet controller, but that's probably just coming from the regular set of drivers, so that's fine. But everything in terms of RAID is now installed. So now, if we go back into the RAIDXpert, then you'll see that, oh no, for some reason the submit button isn't there. Okay, I'm back. So I just rebooted the computer, and you can see now the submit button is appeared. So after you install or update your drivers, then you just reset the computer, you go admin, admin, submit, and now you're in. You just have to create a username, so I'll just keep calling it the same thing. And then log in, and you're online. So you can see my 4.2 terabytes now up here. When I first did this yesterday, it had a thing here called create, so it takes about overnight. It's just like doing a RAID rebuild. It takes, just to initialize everything, I guess, takes about 8 to 10 hours. And so that's complete now, so that's why it's not doing anything. But now if you open up the local disk, you can see that the RAID 10, that array that I just set up, is now there. And it already has some files on it because I put them on yesterday. But prior to my reboot and being able to log into this, you will not see this. So now we're all set up. And so that's how you install a RAID array for the GUI on an AMD Ryzen 2nd generation. And this is on the ASRock Taichi Ultimate X470.